So we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. And we have sufficient board members. Our first order of business, I'd like to ask somebody if they would be willing to make a motion to go into executive session for a legal matter, and that we include the school district clerk, Andy McLean, in the executive session.
So moved.
Okay, so I have a motion by Laura. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mark, thank you. Mark seconds it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Dana, we're going to have to kick you out. We're going into executive session. We'll be right back with you in a few minutes, okay? Bye, Peter. Okay, so we're recording, so it's 6:47. We came out of executive session by unanimous consent. If maybe the board will indulge me, I can summarize. We met with an attorney in regards to representation on the board in light of the new census, and the board has the right to adjust the makeup of the board based on the census, which would change the board from 4 members from Dover to 2 members from Wardsboro based on the 2020 census, and that would get reweighed or rediscussed in 2030 by Kate and maybe Mark and the other people on the board at that time. We also have the ability to bring forth to the voters of the district, the entire district, some options with some hybrid models of board representation, which would be that there's 3 different hybrid methods that the attorney says that we could utilize. One would be that there's 2 directors elected from each town and 2 at-large directors that are elected by the entire district. I'm going to call that option A. There's option B that would have all 6 board members voted on by the entire district, and they could be from any town. And then option C would be one that would have the entire district vote for the board members, but 3 board members would run from one town and 3 board members would run from the other town. And I believe those were the three options if we decide not to, if we decide that we don't want to reconstitute the board based on the 2020 census. I'm not asking for discussion on that. Did I get that all right, or did I miss anything? Is everybody in agreement with that? I see Mark's got his hand up. Peter, I'll get to you in 1 second. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, just that he gave us one other option, which is proportional voting.
Okay.
Two.
Yeah. We can also, I'm going to make option D, which is proportional voting, so that we still elect 3 members from each town, but your votes are weighted. Hang on, Dwight. Your votes are weighted, so it would be weighted via weighted by so that it's proportional, so that your vote is weighted to the population. I'm going to call that D, and I'm going to call it weighted voting. Okay, Mark, are you all set? Okay, Dwight, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's right, Rich. I was going to say, let's call that weighted voting, not to make it confusing, but you beat me to it.
Okay, so does everybody agree those are kind of our options? And so to do anything other than reconstitute the board, which we can just do on our own, is going to require a vote of the district, the entire district. And I believe we were told the vote has to be for the entire district, tabulated separately in each town, but all the votes are counted.
If you're changing your articles of agreement.
Which anything other than doing, I believe the only thing that we can do without changing the articles of agreement is just reconstitute the board.
That's right, but it wouldn't apply to electing officers. You weren't talking about that, right? Just changing the articles. Yep.
Just the
Yep.
articles. Okay, so if everybody's in agreement with that, let's have discussion about that. So I think to make it really simple, and I don't want to, I think we need to decide, are we going to reconstitute the board based on the census, or do we want to amend our articles to do something different? Does that make sense to everybody? If that makes sense to everybody, then is there any discussion on that? Okay, you guys are killing me a little bit here.
Mark.
I get to take my mask off. I couldn't even see your hand up, Mark. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I understand that you want to break it down into simple chunks, but I don't think it's as simple as that decision. To me, it's not as simple as that decision. If we're, depending on what option we were to take, if we were gonna go the second route, my vote on the first might be different. So it's not an A or B, it's an A, B, C, or D.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you, Mark, but that doesn't matter because don't make all the decisions. So how would you guys like to weigh in? I'd like to make it into either we reconstitute the board or we go the route of another option. So can we have at least discussion so we can move forward? And if you all want to just reconstitute the board, it's a very simple decision and we just reconstitute the board, we can make that motion and move on. If you don't want to reconstitute the board and look at another option, then I think that needs to be the vote so we can go back and then we'll discuss the 4 options and see which way we'd like to go. Go ahead, Kate. And I'll get you one.
You know, I definitely see the value, like, in all the different things. The 2020, man, that was a really weird census year. Like, the population changed, and I don't think it's indicative of what's really going on still. I was really intrigued by the hybrid model. I don't know if anybody else was, and doing the at-large members from both communities. So 3 members from each community, but both communities vote on all 6 members, and that's how I understood it. I know that would make it a little tricky because it would require us to amend the articles of agreement, but it also sounded like we didn't have to do that quickly. We could wait till the general election in November so that it wasn't adding on a special election or doing anything, you know, cumbersome in the work arena immediately. So I don't know, that was my thought, was that I was intrigued by the hybrid model. I thought that was kind of a neat time to move forward.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Did you have any? I guess not. Dwight or Chad, do you want to weigh in? Go ahead, Chad. Chad moved.
Too many buttons, I apologize. I concur with Kate, and I think it's, being able to have our entire community vote for every single representative, but still having the equal representation really accomplishes an awful lot, particularly talking about equity in a lot of things. So again, just very simply, I concur with Kate that it would be ideal to continue the 3 members from each town, and then also having those members voted on by our entire district.
Dwight?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. I mean, I agree, and also I think your approach is a good one. I think it's, although we don't know exactly the alternative, we have a pretty good sense of what it is, but let's determine if we're going to move forward with this, and then we'll take it from there.
Last chance. And then go back to Mark. Mark, right after Laura. Everybody's got one turn.
Yeah, so I appreciate you're trying to organize this conversation. It doesn't appear that we're going there. It appears we're going past that. So I'm happy to vote first on whether or not the board is just going to reconstitute itself. or not. And if we're not doing that, I am in agreement with the 3-3 with the whole district voting, and I'd like to see it in November.
I think Andrew would kill us if we do it to him in
No.
November.
I think you just said.
No,
I'm sure
I
being sarcastic.
Well, let's wait, let's just see how
kinda
far,
have to go.
it may be a moot point.
kind of have to go.
Okay, can you give me 1 second?
I can.
Mark, last chance, last shot.
Well, it comes down to, I think that representation in our entire country, everywhere, is based on population. And my preference would be to go with a 2-2-2 model. I think that is the most fair. But if we don't, then I would want to reapportion.
Okay. So can I ask, straw poll vote, who is in favor of reconstituting the board based on the census to have a 4-2 model? Is there anybody that wants to do that at this time? Okay, I see nobody moving for that. Andy, if we want to amend the articles, when could we do that? Could you get us a timeline for our next meeting?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah. I like Chris's thought of not trying to squish this in before your annual meeting.
Right, and I think Chris said that we're okay, we'll just, the people that are up for election this year, they'll just get elected the way they've always gotten elected in the past.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then, so the Dover person who's up for election will need to get a petition in before the middle of January, before the 15th.
Yeah, and it probably will all change with what the legislature is doing, giving you the options to do this week or next week. But yeah, it would just be business as usual. But voting in both towns' Australian ballot could be accomplished in conjunction with one of the statewide elections. Typically, we can, it might cost a little bit, we can get public questions printed on the actual ballots that we use. We can do that for JPs. It might have to be a separate ballot, but that doesn't matter. It would probably be a lot easier for the town clerks to run these elections if we did it in conjunction with one of those other elections.
But we have some time, so we don't have to, if we decide to bring something forth, we don't have to rush and get that done right away.
Not if you're willing to forego changing before your annual meeting.
And it's gonna take that long
I
to
think
get,
that's
just to get it
unreasonable.
out there, right?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. So I should probably leave, but if you have any questions, or you want my input
No,
on
can
anything?
you get us a timeline, like, not give us a date, but just say, okay, if date X is when you want to have the vote, 60 days beforehand, we need to have this, 40 days beforehand, that, just, not a timeline based on the calendar, but timeline based on benchmarks or landmarks, or,
Okay, and this is to change the articles, yeah?
yes,
I want to say 30 days,
okay,
but I'll confirm that for you.
okay.
For
And
what
then
it's
just
worth,
what the dates of those elections that are coming up
Yeah.
are that we could tie into.
you got it,
too.
August and November, I'll get the dates for you. And for what it's worth, as a voter, I'll just, because I'm here, get my 2 cents in. I like the hybrid model. I like equal representation from both towns. It would be different if we had one school, but we have 2. And in this country, sometimes population is not the be-all and end-all, as in our Senate. Vermont is recognized the same as other places that weight given to place and to small place is constitutional in many instances. Thanks, folks.
Hey,
I'll talk
Andy,
to you later.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is I'm going to put together a summary of our 4 options, and I'd like to send them out. We've done a lot, we've heard a lot tonight. I'd like to put it together, and I'd like to have another discussion on this at the next meeting, if that's okay with everybody. Let it all sink in. We'll write out, I think we've agreed on our 4, the 4 options are, the 6 directors are voted from any of the 2 towns, which I had as A. B is 2 and 2 at large option. C was everybody votes for 3 from each town. And 4 is that there's 3 and 3 elected by the town, but their votes are given weight at the district meeting. Is that, did I miss anything? Is that okay? And then we'll write them up, have a little summary sheet, and then at the next meeting we can discuss that. Go ahead, Mark.
In the last model, in the weighted model, the votes are given weight at all board meetings, not just the annual meeting.
No, it's every meeting, and it's not as difficult as Chris was saying, because we actually, a lot of our associations, I don't know if Dwight, if you have a lot of them, but like Snow Mountain Village used to be, different people have different weighted votes. Some people take it a little wrong. They think that means that like they can vote for one person, that person gets like 6 of their votes, but it's easy. You just make up a chart. And, when we say, okay, Kate voted this way, Dwight, Chad, Mark, and I just have a little number thing, and then say, okay, so it was 6 votes for and, 5 votes against, even though there's only 4 people or 5 people voting. So that would be that weighted one, which is the last one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so is everybody on the board okay with us putting together kind of a cheat sheet, and then we've asked a lot of questions and we can have a discussion at the next meeting?
Great.
Are you good with that? Dwight and Kate's giving me thumbs up, Chad's thumbing his nose at me. And Mark, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think we should consider having a public meeting specifically about this if we're going to be changing the articles. I mean, there were dozens of them leading up to the creation of the articles. I think that both communities, the people in the community, should be able to weigh in on a final decision.
Right, Mark, they will. They'll have to vote on it. That's what we're voting. And I think that our voters, hang on, Mark, the voters have always looked to us to give them, to bring forth an article. We don't present 6 budgets and say, pick which one you want, and then that's the one we're going to present. But let's have that discussion another time. I think there will be public discussion about it. We're going to talk about it at the next meeting. People will understand that, know that, and that's where they can weigh in also. We'll give the public the ability to talk if they have any comments. But I think it's incumbent upon us to present present an article for them to vote on. So I'd like to ask that under our additions, deletions to the agenda, I want to move 2 things up front. I want to move the website from old business and the IntraSU also up, and I want to discuss those 2 first so that we can let the superintendent leave. So the website update, I had 2 people respond to from the board. So Mark and Chad are the only board members who expressed interest in being on that.
Rich?
Yeah.
Back to the agenda. The letter to the legislature didn't make it onto that agenda for some reason. So that should be added.
We can add that.
Yeah, but I don't need the superintendent here for that. So can I do these 2 real quick so we can get him out of here?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually asked him to print the letter, so I had it. So is it in my packet?
No, I sent it to Matt.
Okay. Mark, you got a copy of it, right?
You want me to send it to everybody?
Yeah, if you don't mind, and they can take a look at it. I thought it got sent.
No, you sent it to me.
Oh,
Why?
okay. So on the website update, Mark and Chad are the 2 from the board. I think we'd set up a committee of the 2 administrators, Matt and Tammy, and Bill and or his designee. So that has been blessed as the committee. Why don't, Matt, I'm going to ask you to kind of be the chair of that group. So can you just set up a meeting with everybody and review stuff and have a report for us at the next meeting?
I will do my best.
Okay, Chad, go ahead.
Sorry. Just want to quickly follow up. There was one reference that didn't get back to me when we went through this prior to the last board meeting. I actually just called today and reaffirmed the decision that we've made with the company that we've chosen. I just want to share that with everybody, that we did have that third reference that I was tasked with that did get back and had a glowing reference for Edward.
Okay, Mark, so Mark and Chad, Matt will send an email out, and you guys can work with set up a Zoom meeting or something to discuss that. Just because you're an official committee of the board, I do need minutes and warning to go out, okay? And then IntraSU school choice, discussion, possible action. I think we've had this discussion. Have we talked about this before? So at the SU meeting on January 26th, which I think Mark, you and who's our other SU rep? Dwight, you and Mark are going to be, remember on the 26th of January, we have a meeting. And one of the discussions that's going to be voted on is IntraSU school choice. And I think we pretty well discussed it a lot. I don't know if there's any thoughts, but I think I'd like to hear from those three board members that aren't going to be there, Laura, Chad, and Kate, how you all think we ought to vote. I'll all jump at once. Kate, you got any thoughts? Are you good if we move that forward?
Do you guys have a feeling on how you're going to vote yet? Would you want to share that?
Well, I don't actually usually vote unless to break or create or break a tie, but I did bring it up, and I feel it's a positive. It's definitely a positive for our students and our families. It gives them more choice and more ability to do what's best for the individual student. So I am for it. That's a good point. Dwight or Mark, are your thoughts on it?
Mark's going to stand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
It's okay, Rich. Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think the situation that we ran into roughly, 6 months, a year ago, whatever, with one of the staff members in our district is a perfect case study in why this should be something that we move forward. I did have a quick question for Bill, which is the 5 and 10. Are we looking at every school / district doing the same thing, or are some districts looking to institute different percentages?
We're looking to have agreement on a minimum and flexibility for the district on a maximum, but not going below an agreed upon. So the 5 and 10 represent basically 5% would be the lowest that you could accept, and 10% would be the lowest that you would allow in. Just having agreement on that, but you also want to have each district be able to have two very important things. One is they get to be able to decide which grade and classrooms have available space, and two, their maximum. So if you think of a place like Wyndham that has 20 students, they are very comfortable saying, we absolutely want to allow 50% out and 50% in, and we'll run a school between 10 and 30 kids. We don't have to change any of our hiring. We don't have to hire anybody. No money exchanges hands. Marlboro has 100 students, and they're very comfortable saying, we will let 5 out and we will let 10 in. But there's got to be some basic level so that River Valleys can't say, we're going to let 1% out, but we will accept 12%. There's got to be a bare minimum that is agreed to at the SU level. And the 5 and the 10, that comes from public high school choice. So that's why I used it.
Thank you for that explanation, Bill.
You bet.
Hang on, okay, Dwight, can you just weigh in on what you're thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just don't know enough about it, or maybe we need to see it in practice. I hear what everyone's saying. It seems reasonable, and I just was thinking about that example you gave, Rich, where if someone who's working at Grace Cottage could bring their kids up to Townsend and have them go to school there, but and then what happens if that person loses the job in Townsend? Does that mean the next year they'll pull them out? In 5th grade, will there be a lot of movement between communities? I don't know. I wonder if those are the kind of things that we'll be discussing before this moves on.
Okay, go ahead, Kate.
That brings up a good point, between communities, but at the same time, we could have movement between our two schools right now, and I don't think most families, I don't think that's a desired path. I feel like a lot of kids like that, pick a track and stick with it. But I absolutely think that giving families a little bit of flexibility to reduce, travel time, windshield time, and making commutes easier on all the family members, I think that leads to a stronger community in general. So I'm definitely for it.
Laura had asked to speak. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Chad, do you have any comments or?
I think Kate brings up a good point. And hopefully parents are making choices, more on a track basis. And certainly also too that if it's based on their employment, that remains firm for for the family. But do we have a sense of what the application looks like for the families that do want to make movement in one way or another?
I believe it's going to be pretty similar to what we use in River Valleys right now. I mean, it's what is it? 1 page, 2 pages?
Yep. We would use the exact same one that we use for River Valleys and West River currently, which is just, name, grade.
And I'm not so familiar. Can you maybe say what's included?
Yeah, sure. It's just basically the demographics of the student, name, grade, address, phone number, email, and what grade they would like to attend in the other school. And they fill that out, and then I just tell them that there's space or not space. And if there's more applications for the allotted spaces, then we do a public lottery, because that is part of the required policy that we follow. There is no choosing of people. It's just, is there space? And if there's not space, you do a lottery.
No, just people's opinion. And Dwight, if there's no other comments, I'd like to just address yours a little bit. We have a lot of families in this community over the years that I've seen that rent. And they, so this year they rented in Dover, but their lease comes up in November because that's when everybody wants to get the big bucks, so they can't afford the place anymore. So they move to maybe Brookline because they could find a place to rent there, but it's not exactly what they want. And then they pull their child out and they go to Brookline because we've been asked to have somebody, can we stay till at least Christmas break, which we've, in Dover, when it was just a Dover board, we've done before. Well, then, Brookline, that place rents really well in the summer, so they get asked to leave because they can't afford that, so they come and they rent a townhome in Dover, starting April 15th, because that's when the other big bucks rental is gone, and they stay till again until November, and they wind up bouncing around, and that creates a lot of issues too. So it's not just the employment, but it's the ability of people to find places to stay, and we all know, affordable housing for our families is very difficult. Look at what's happened on our board alone. We had a board member who's has since resigned, but he sold his house and had to move somewhere, and we have a board member from another town in Wyndham Central that they sold their house, and before they can build their new one, they've been in 2 different houses so far in just a couple months. So I just use that as an example, but it's letting the parent and the family decide what's best for their child and their student. And it's not us telling them what's best for you is because you happen to be renting right now in this town that's the only school you have. It's giving school choice It's giving just what our middle and high school students get to all our elementary students. And it's looking at the district as a whole, not just looking at River Valley. So, and there may be River Valley students that, would do better in a different elementary school. I don't know, but that's not my choice. That's, the family can do that. Right now, there's no ability for them to take advantage of that other than to, to move, uproot the family, sell the property, or find another rental. So that's the only reason why I'm really for it, and I would definitely want to move it forward.
Thank you, Rich. Really appreciate it.
So Laura asked if we want to vote. Do you folks want to vote to tell us how to vote, or do you want us just to have the discussion and vote how we feel is in the best interest of the district? And the other thing, don't forget too, Chad, I think you've come to a couple Wyndham Central meetings. Although you don't get to vote, you do get a say. Or, you do have the chance to throw in your 2 cents. And same with you, Kate and Laura. Does Mark, you got your hand up again?
He does not.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I guess we will just vote our conscience at the time of the meeting, unless somebody says something different. Does anybody need anything from the superintendent, or are you all set if we let him skedaddle? Any other questions? Go ahead, Kate.
She's
waving goodbye.
just saying, we don't need
Oh, I hate this.
That's what we love about Kate.
Are we ever going to be normal again and all be in one building to meet?
Yes.
Xander.
Okay, so thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, I'm going to go back to the consent agenda, minutes of the December 20th, 2021 meeting. Can I get a motion to, I'm sorry, I have no correspondence. We just have the minutes. Is there any discussion? Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, on page 4, right in the middle, the first vote that we took, it was for the amendment to 22.5K, I believe. Peter, you have the yeas and nays backwards. The motion failed, but you have backwards.
Got it.
Thank you. Is there anything else? You know what it is Mark's hand looks like the thing in the back. Mark, you got to get a red piece of paper or something and hold it up.
You can use the thing, so.
Your hand kind of blends to the color of the thing in the background. I think that's why I'm having trouble seeing
How
it.
about this?
Yeah, put it up a little higher. Okay. So the consent agenda is adopted as corrected. Peter, when the meeting's over, I'll talk to you about the option thing and the stuff that you had a question about reapportionment.
Sure. I wanted to point out that in the vote Mr. Schauber refers to, it looked to me like it was a tie vote because the chair voted making it a tie would be the reason it failed. Is that correct or not?
Yeah, it didn't fail, it didn't pass, it becomes a push. There wasn't enough, if the vote is a tie, the motion doesn't pass, it just becomes dead.
So I'm thinking that the yeas and nays were correct, or were they not really?
No, I think you have them the opposite. I'm pulling it up.
Well, it says Borum aye, Friedel aye, Schauber aye, Starro nay, Civilian nay, Chair nay.
Okay, tell you guys what, we're gonna postpone the vote on the minutes, and Mark, let's look into that, and we can deal with it next meeting.
Okay, the document's just not loading up, so I
No, that's
apologize.
fine. We'll deal with that the next meeting. So there was no correspondence. We're going to push the consent agenda. Peter, just note the consent agenda, the minutes of the December 20th. We'll relook at that. And Mark, just send me an email when you review
Okay.
the tape. Members of the public, Dana, I'm sorry that we been a little up and down this meeting, but did you have anything for public?
No, sir. Thank you for asking.
Okay, and then Valerie, members of the staff? Valerie. Okay, Valerie, if you have anything, just, oh, there you go.
Sorry, I was saying goodnight to the little one. Yeah, I don't really have too much. The only thing I wanted to say is I appreciate that you guys are looking into, as a district, the school choice within the supervisory union. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Website, school board. Okay, that's all I have for old business. So under new business, we have the waiting study meeting update. So I'd like to, Mark, we'll discuss your letter under that because I think that kind of fits. It's all part of it. So on January 11th, there's a waiting study meeting. So who's updating us on that? Go ahead, Mark. But you didn't listen. I didn't see the pad raised.
Oh,
There
sorry.
you go. Okay.
As a VSBA rep, I might as well update you. The VSBA is hosting a forum. Brad James from the AOE will be there. Emily Kornheiser, one of the co-chairs of the task force, and Professor Tammy Bates, one of the authors of the
Colby.
Executive Report, will be in attendance.
Professor
I like it.
What was
Colby.
that?
You said
No, you
Bates.
said Bates. So Tammy became a professor over.
Oh, I apologize, Tammy. Professor Tammy Colby. Yeah, I recommend that everybody attend. It's the same crew that was at the superintendent's meeting now 2 weeks ago. And I understand that there was some good discussion there, although I have not heard from too many superintendents. So get your questions together and come and listen to what they have to say. And you can register. An email went out both from the VSBA to all members, as well as Bill also forwarded it to everybody to register.
Okay. As part of that, Mark has composed a letter that he's like to have the River Valleys and the town of Dover send out. So it's a joint letter from the two boards. And the reason it's from the town of Dover board is that select board is that they are sponsoring or utilizing the services of a lobbyist. To assist in the waiting study. It's something that the town of Dover has been fighting kind of for almost since Act 60, or at least since Act 68. So Mark had a letter to the chair or to the Speaker of the House, the Senate Pro Tem, our other senator, and to our representative. I don't know who she is or that person is, but so Mark, I guess, sent the letter to you all. And did everybody get a chance to look at it? So I don't know, is it worth reading it, Mark, or do we want to just... So Mark's intent was to have us vote to sign the letter and submit it to the legislature and to those 4 people that are listed on it, or 5 people. 4 people, I believe, right, Mark?
Yes, correct, 4 people. One of whom has already read it. I'm more than happy to read it. It's a combination of some work by the coalition's lobbyist, myself, and I stole a couple paragraphs from Rich's public comment that he gave at the October 29th, I believe, public hearing.
Did I get credit for that? Did you do one of those things and list my name?
Well, you're actually listed there twice.
Oh.
Because you get to sign it.
So does anybody want it read out loud, or are you guys okay if we were to make a motion and vote? Dwight, and then I'll get to you, Laura. Dwight was moving
No,
this.
I'm good to vote, if you'd like to.
Just knowing that we've got that trickiness of Dover has a lobbyist and Dover is participating with the coalition, this seems like something that should be going through the Dover lobbyist as well.
Yeah, and I think the selectmen are doing that.
Great.
Okay, if you guys, and again too, there may be a few changes just based on what Dover does. So as long as it's within pretty much this, saying the changes aren't major and the author's good with them, then I think our vote should be to support and sign this letter as long as the town of Dover agrees with it.
Rich?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that the letter is the one that I sent out to everybody now, which has the chart of all the board members at the bottom, because there were a couple of significant changes that I made between version 1 and version 2.
Right. The one you sent me today is the one I sent to the select board and I sent to Bill to send out that didn't get sent.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will make that motion.
Okay, so just make the motion so Peter can write it down, right?
So I move that the River Valley's school board authorize Rich to sign a letter to the legislature in regards to supporting the implementation of the People Weighting Factors report.
Do I have a second to that?
Seconded.
Okay, thank you, Chad. So a motion's been made and seconded. Mark made the motion. Peter, are you all set with it? Mark, do you have anything to say on behalf of the motion?
I just realized that I did not include anything in the motion about it being possibly updated by Dover. Do you want something?
No, I'm good with that because if they make changes, I'll send it out to everybody just to make sure they're comfortable with it.
Okay. So, no, I don't have anything else. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Chad, you get second chance to speak to it?
Nothing to follow, but I think it's well written and it's an important note to send.
Okay, is everybody ready to vote? Any other discussion?
I'm not going to be voting on this, Richard.
Okay, well, that's fine. You will vote nay, you will abstain.
Yes, I will be abstaining.
Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye.
You have to take a roll call. So
Yeah, well, actually, she's warned me, so let's just do a roll call. You're right. Mark, how do you vote?
Yay.
Dwight?
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Laura?
I abstain.
And the chair will actually vote aye, also in the affirmative. So Peter, you have the motion good? And you've got the voters? It should be 5 ayes and one abstention. Okay, good work, Mark. Thank you. Thank you, board. So,
Thank you, everyone.
under new business, I'd like to just ask our two administrators. It was a pretty, I think, landmark day. We had a week and a half of vacation and a lot of family get-togethers. And how was school coming back on today? Go ahead, Tammy.
Sure. From my standpoint, at Wordsworth, things actually went very well. Several families took advantage of the test kits that the state was giving out last Thursday and Friday, which was pretty amazing. I think overall we had a pretty high level of attendance rate today with a few absences. There were a couple of exposures and some positive cases, but overall very low for our community at this time. For now, we were informed, I guess over the break, that the AOE will be adopting the new guidance that was put out by the CDC regarding total isolation times and quarantine periods for the unvaccinated. So sure Matt will be navigating through this too, but just trying to learn it all and implement the changes and then get the communications out to those people that need that. And I've also heard, although I don't know if it's a rumor or not, but the Test to Stay program that we have been running, the responsibility of that is going to be shifting from the schools to the families at some point. Although I haven't heard anything official that's coming up. So that's Wardsboro's stance at this time.
Thank you, Tammy. Why don't you go ahead, Matt, and then we'll take questions.
So yeah, we had a good day back. It was a little chilly up on the hill this morning. Starting to feel a little bit like winter. We had quite a few positive cases over the vacation. Fortunately, nobody's reporting any severe illness. And we are also trying to navigate the new guidance. There was some confusion between the CDC and Vermont Department of Health during the vacation that caused a lot of questions that needed to be answered today. So we're working through that. Yeah, all the things that Tammy said, I think that apply. We haven't really had much time since our last meeting, but we're just plugging along. Yeah.
Go ahead, Laura.
So once again, I just want to say thank you to both of you for the extraordinary amount of flexibility, perseverance, and attitude, as well as all of your staff. I do have one question for each of you, which is there anything, if there was something that you could change right now, and that's really going to put you on the spot. So I'd just like to give you the opportunity and not actually, if you don't want to take it, please don't. So.
Yeah. I have one thing, since I still have the mic. I think we would like to have more availability of testing for home kits for families. The notification on the promotion last week was wonderful, but it was late, so we didn't really have an opportunity to get it out as well as we would have liked to. So I would love another shot at those home tests. I think that makes people feel a lot more comfortable being able to test their kids at home before they send them in and not have to send them into school and have them tested there. So I would love to see more availability of testing for our families. I think they would appreciate it.
Okay. Tammy?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Matt. The availability of the test would be very helpful, not only for families, but staff members felt a little left out of that giveaway. So it'd be nice to be able to have the staff have access to those as well.
So one thing I would just note on that, first of all, I hear it, and I will, do everything I can to help with that. I want to make sure that we all understand there is a national shortage on testing right now, which is amazing.
Yeah, several families have been reporting difficulty getting tests if they haven't, gotten through the programs. Store shelves being empty and things hard to get.
Yes.
Yeah. True.
Dwight, Mark, Kate, or Chad, anything? Go ahead, Kate.
My family definitely took advantage of the kits that were available. It was phenomenal. We had also signed up for some testing on the 23rd of December through the Department of Health. And they gave us, instead of just doing a rapid kit, they actually gave us a molecular test. So they gave us 3, because I sent it to 3 family members, and I ended up saving those kits. And then I had some friends that needed more robust test results to clarify a rapid test, and I shared them with them. And, that was phenomenal. I don't know if there's any way to be able to have a supply of those moleculars at any of the schools to be able to help in situations like that. But it was so good to be able to share and kind of give families either peace of mind or guidance on what to do. So those testing things, that was just so phenomenal. And I don't know who to pass that up to, but it was great.
So maybe for Tammy and Matt, what you can do is in your next newsletter, if people have extra kits or have gotten extra kits and they're willing to share, maybe not tell people who to share, but if a family is really in desperate need of something and there's other people out there that are willing to share, you guys can kind of maybe be the brokerage for that. Would that make sense?
I can't believe this. I think it's a good suggestion. I cannot believe the absurdity of all of this. I mean, it's just
You have
bananas.
to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
Kate, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. Chad and Mark, you guys all set with, yeah, okay. So, I have one question. I think our school nurse should have started, correct?
She started today.
Okay. So was that a help to you guys, or she started work?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a help to you, Tammy?
Absolutely, very, very helpful. Not just on the COVID front, but, you know, the everyday bloody noses and paper cuts and all that kind of stuff. It definitely allowed Jennifer Finaldi to focus on her position while she's recovering from knee surgery. So it was great to have her in the building.
Good. And then she's going to do some STEAM stuff with you also, correct?
We hope to, yes, eventually get there with the health side of things and just encouraging the profession in general, the science side of things.
Okay, and then my last question, and I'd be all out of questions for you two, is we have, I know you're doing winter sports this year, and does the testing or Mount Snow, and I don't need a long explanation, just that are you guys all set to be able to move that forward, or do you need something from the board or help to make that all work?
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, we start tomorrow, so I'll probably do more of an update at the next meeting, but as far as I know, everything is a green light, and we're hoping things go well.
Is there any snow up there to ski on?
I think it's cold enough to blow snow now, right?
It is now.
Yeah.
Tonight? Okay.
I think it was too cold today, they weren't blowing any.
Oof.
That's rough.
We start Thursday, so same
Okay.
story. Yeah.
Okay, so any other new business from anybody else?
I have one question, but it's about something we've talked about tonight.
Okay. If the board's all set, I'm going to give the last comment in the evening to Matthew.
So it's really just a question about the website committee. Can you give us a formal charge from the board?
Yeah, I thought we voted on that.
Yeah. Did we vote on a formal charge for that? I don't recall.
Well, yeah, you guys have to meet with the company and your... Let me work on that.
Okay, I just want to make sure that when we
I'm
come to
pretty
work-
sure that the understanding is you are to negotiate the contract within the realm of the motion to get the website started and bring it back to the board, and you're supposed to work with the group, set up the meetings that we're supposed to have, and get this website up and running before I die.
That's what we needed, a formal charge. Thank you.
Mark, go ahead, but your hand blends too well. Yep.
I was just gonna say, Matt, I think the formal charge is what you said at the other meeting.
Okay. We can review that at our first meeting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Minutes.
No, I know, I was trying to look for it. Peter, also note that we have to approve the December 6th minutes too. We didn't do that at the December 20th meeting because nobody had them and they sent them out, but we didn't put it down on the agenda, which I thought I had. So December, Matt, just let Bill know the next agenda has to have December 6th, December 20th, and January 3rd minutes to be approved.
Got it.
And then Peter, when we're all done, I'll take a couple minutes, just go over it with you if you have any questions about the representation. So if you guys are all set, if there's nothing else, we thought, one of the reasons I asked Andy to be here too, he was concerned about elections, but who is up from Dover this year? It's
Either me or Laura.
No, I ran last year.
Right, that's why I said it's either me or.
Oh, I thought you said it's neither me or Laura.
I was looking the other day.
I think it's Laura, because didn't Mark start the same time that I started, around that same time?
But Mark filled in for a position, so
Right.
he's
And then
does.
you were elected in 2020.
Right, I think Kate's right. I think
Yeah.
I was actually elected at the same time that she, no. was before.
I was appointed in 2020, and then I was elected in 2021.
Well, Mark or Laura,
Year.
if you want to run again, you got to have a petition in this year. I don't think there's a free ball. I think you have to do a petition. And just make sure you get it to Andy before the 20-something of January. And Wardsboro, Chad, you're going to have to run. And I believe Rick can just run, so you'll finish out his term. And then one of you, either Kate or Dwight. Dwight, you ran last year. So it's got to be.
I ran last year on a 3-year term. I was on a 2, and then so Chad would be up this year to go for a 3-year term.
Okay. But I thought he took Rick's place. I thought
Rick's spot ends this
year. Okay, so that works out really well anyways, Chad. It'll be really your term.
Right, so do I need a petition in mid-January?
No, I think.
Or are we on a different schedule?
No, Wardsboro, you vote from the floor.
Okay.
At the Wardsboro town meeting, so you just got to go there, and I'll make sure that gets taken care of. So I'll find out what you need to do. And Mark or Laura, why don't you just check and make sure?
I'm sending Annie an email right now.
Okay, and then we'll make sure that gets taken care of. That is, yep.
Are we meeting the 24th?
Well, that's what I believe we should do then, because we don't have any rush in having to meet. If there was something we had to do to get something on a warning, then I may have asked us to meet next week or after Monday, the week after. But I think we can just push it off to the 24th if everybody's good with that. And I believe that's what we had on the agenda. Go ahead.
So I got a text from Bill saying that Lori and he are at the West River meeting on the 24th, so that's why the 25th was a suggestion.
We need them because of the budget, so.
I can't make it the 25th.
Well, we don't have to finalize the budget on the 24th, do we? You know what,
That's the informational meeting, though, wouldn't it be helpful to have you there?
Well, let's do.
Our annual meeting's not till April. We've got plenty of time.
I think the middle of February, we got to have everything voted on and done. Let's meet on the 24th, because I tell you what, the legislature, when they go back in session, there's talk that they may allow towns again some flexibility in postponing the meetings, and that if that would apply to the school board too. So we may decide that we don't want to, that the end of March, beginning April is not a great date, and maybe we want to push it out a little further. So let's meet on the 24th. If I find out between, after legislature goes back, if there's some reason to meet next week, I'll send an email. I'll have Bill send an email to everybody, poll everybody, and we'll figure a different meeting date. And if it looks like we're okay to meet on the 24th and we'll still be able to make all our deadlines, then we'll plan on that for right now unless something else comes up. Is that okay with everybody? And then we won't meet with, we won't have Tammy, or not Tammy, we'll have Tammy there. Hi, Tammy. Professor Tammy. We'll have, but we won't have Bill or Lori there for that one, which I think will be okay. So if there's nothing else, guys, it was a really good meeting. We got a lot accomplished tonight. I'm sorry. It wasn't a heavy agenda, but it got everything we needed done. It's a new year. Let's hope 2022 is better than 2020 and 2021. And I'm looking for those big words. Yes. I need those words from somebody.
I move we adjourn.
Laura moves to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Kate. See you all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.